Lately, Kanye West has been in the news for saying some pretty terrible, egotistical, narcissistic things. But recently, he was accepting an award at the BET Honors ceremony, and he said some really interesting comments about interracial relationships. Now, as you know, he's in an interracial relationship, and he recalled a story that Kim Kardashian had told him about her own father. When he was representing O.J. Simpson in the notorious O.J. Simpson trial, apparently someone had vandalized his car by spray painting, I'm going to just say it, nigger lover on it, okay? And so apparently after he saw that, he became so enraged by the racism that he had experienced, in the country at the time, that he just lost his mind. So here's what Kanye West recalls of that story. He says that she, Kim Kardashian, never saw her father curse, get mad. He was the most laid-back human being, and he went so crazy and tried to chase the people down, and she sat there crying, saying, "Dad, you're going so crazy." And he said to her, "One day you may have a black child, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black child, and it's going to be hard. You're going to see how hard it is. So true enough, we deal with racism because there are different races." Or the micro of it is that we focus on the different races as opposed to the macro, which is the human race. So he always adds like words that he doesn't need to add, right? Like all he needs to say is, look, we might have different skin colors, but we're all part of the human race and we should love one another. And it's such, I like this story because I think that it really emphasizes something that a lot of people are still in denial about. I mean, when you have someone spray painting N-word lover on your car, I mean, there are some hateful people out there.
Yeah. So this is a great story. It's a good point by Kanye. There's nothing to criticize, so I will. I'm going to be a slight dick about it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I think this story is slightly O'Reilly'd up.
No. There's a little bit embellishment with the beautiful, 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 beautiful black baby.
Now, you got to remember, Robert Kardashian was one of OJ's lawyers. He was also one of his best friends.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he was incredibly open to interracial friendships, obviously relationships, etc. Right? They wrote this on his Bentley, and I'm sure he was also pissed that they wrote stuff on his Bentley. That's also why he might have chased them down. And then if one of your best friends is black and they write that on your car, let alone ever writing that anywhere, right? You're going to be mad. So a whole host of reasons why I'm sure he was mad on that day. But the whole thing about one day, Kim, you might have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black child.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. I mean, that was laying it on pretty thick by Kanye, right?
Yeah, so I agree with you on that point. But again, the part of the story that really stood out to me the most wasn't what he allegedly said to Kim. What stood out to me was what happened to Robert Kardashian, right? And like, look, it's not about him being victimized. It's about an entire community of people being victimized and society pretending as though we've already combated our issues with race. Yes, we've come a long way, but there are still people out there who think that this type of behavior is acceptable, right? And also, it always amazes me how quickly we forget that the civil rights movement didn't happen that long ago. There are people alive today that were either part of the civil rights movement or they were against the civil rights movement.
Well, the March in Selma, Alabama happened almost exactly 50 years ago today, right? And that's when it was still acceptable in the minds of those people until the cameras showed up and the rest of the country saw it, to say, oh, if you don't listen to, if you don't know your role, you're not allowed to vote, and if you try to vote, I will hit you over the head with a baton and I'll run you over with a horse.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did like, in the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they did a cavalry charge, okay? That's unbelievable. They did it against their own citizens. Martin Luther King always made a great point about that. He said, you have to remember, we did civil disobedience, but we weren't breaking the law. The Civil Rights Act and then eventually the Voting Rights Act made what we did legal. We were doing the legal thing. It was actually the police officers in the South who were breaking the law.
Right.
Okay, so it's a wonderful point. So now let me continue to be a dick about this story. The reason he was giving this speech is because BET was giving him a Visionary Award. Why was he getting that Visionary Award? Not for his music, but because he has an exclusive apparel and sneaker line with Adidas. Like when you get rich and famous, just everything is, oh my God, you've created these wonderful Adidas. You are such a visionary. I will now give you an award. Can you appear on BET so that I can give you that award? And that's how this thing works.
Yeah, well, okay, you make a good point about that, but whatever. He's more than just a rapper, okay? And I feel a little sick giving him more credit than he might deserve because he is so narcissistic and egotistical. But he is a businessman as well, and he's a successful one at that. People are willing to buy his product, and that's why brands are willing to work with him. So if they want to give him an award, sure, whatever. Who cares?
I will prove to people how absurd the world is when one day I have a clothing line and people actually buy it.